From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Good day, Delmarva. Reporter Rob Petrie here for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, the city of Lewes has announced that its beaches will be unguarded this season as officials have been unable to recruit certified lifeguards. Dover police are yet again investigating another shooting, this time involving a 23-year-old who was shot in the arm. This marks the fourth person to be shot in the city of Dover in less than a week. And we sit down with Matt Bucher, who won big in the Milford School Board election. These stories and more coming up, but weather first with Hunter Alton.
Well, good Thursday afternoon, Delmarva. Once again, another day filled with clouds, passing rain showers, cooler conditions, and that darn northeast wind that will not go anywhere. But right now, taking a live look outside of TV Delmarva Studios here in Georgetown, we've got some fairly gray clouds out there. We've been seeing some sprinkles and some isolated showers for the most part, but we're definitely on the cooler side of the peninsula this afternoon. Currently only 59 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at satellite and radar, see where is our coastal low now? Well, it is finally on the move, but unfortunately it's in the direction that we don't want to see it, as it is now heading back towards the west, and that's allowing for more cloud cover to filter in throughout much of the east coast, and as well as bringing in those chances of precipitation. But the good news is it is starting to weaken finally, but we just have to get through all of tomorrow and Saturday to get rid of all these precipitation chances before this system dies out, gets caught up in a jet stream, and it sends it out of here finally for much warmer and drier conditions on the way. Now, we still do got some lingering hazards here on Delmarva, just in the form of some coastal flood advisories. We got coastal flood advisories for Dorchester, Wicomico, Somerset County, basically only focused into the Chesapeake Bay area for some very minor areas of coastal flooding. That's because of all the wave action we've seen in the last couple of days. All that water that's been thrown into the Chesapeake Bay area really has nowhere to go. So it's going to take a little bit of time for those water levels to begin to subside, but we do have some minor areas of coastal flooding during those high tide cycles over the next couple of days. Temperatures, though, once again, a large spread across the region. Basically, the closer you are to the coast, the much cooler conditions you're seeing. Only 60 degrees right now in Salisbury, 61 for Pocomoke City, 53 degrees in Ocean City. But the further northwest you go, much warmer conditions, 67 in Easton, 71 in Centerville, 67 in Dover, and very, very nice temperatures up north in Newark and Wilmington, where they have been seeing some sunshine today in the most northern portions of the shore. We have also been seeing some fairly muggy conditions too. Dew points have been in the upper 50s and even some mid 60s for areas where we've been seeing a little bit of sunshine further north. Nice muggy air mass with no surprise with that onshore flow today. Take a look at the current sustained winds. Well, it's nice to finally see some sustained winds that are less than 10 miles an hour here on the shore, but it's generally been sustained 5 to 10 miles per hour, but a little bit stronger the closer you get towards the coast. On the sustained right now in Ocean City at 15 miles per hour, but we have been seeing some wind gusts get to near 20, currently gusting to 21 in Ocean City, 17 for Salisbury, 18 for Pocomoke City, 18 as well for Georgetown, but further north and west, you've been seeing some wind gusts between 12 and 13 miles per hour. Now we are going to be having continued rain chances over the next couple of days, but a nice warm-up trend is on the way. And guess what? That warmer trend is here to stay. In just about 2 days, this coastal low will finally kick the bucket out of here, and we're going to be looking at some nice conditions. I'll have all the details regarding that in just a little bit.
The city of Lewes has announced that its beaches will be unguarded this season as officials have been unable to recruit certified lifeguards. Lewes City Manager Anne-Marie Townsend tells us that the city has went above and beyond to recruit lifeguards, but has ultimately been unable to attract the certified staff, and as a result, the beaches will be unguarded this season, saying, quote, "We have been unable to recruit sufficient lifeguards to effectively guard the beaches. We only had 2 lifeguards returning from last year, and of those who applied this season, only one was certified. In past years, the city of Lewes has employed at least 10 active lifeguards to protect and serve on the beaches. Last year, the city was short by 2, and while they made do with what they could in 2021, many other lifeguards left the town early to return to college. Now, it was also learned that their longtime lifeguard chief would not be returning this season. City officials took several steps to try to recruit lifeguards ahead of this year's season, including increasing the starting wage for their lifeguards from $13 an hour to $16 an hour. They also called around to other municipalities to see if they could spare some of their lifeguards to help out, but ultimately all of those efforts fell short. Signs will be posted at the beaches to notify the public. Dover police are yet again investigating another shooting, this time involving a 23-year-old who was shot in the arm, marking the 4th person to be shot in the city of Dover in less than a week. According to the Dover Police Department, the shooting occurred around 11:48 p.m. Wednesday when officers were called to the 100 blocks of South New Street and South Queen Street for reports of shots fired. While checking the area, police say a 23-year-old male victim arrived at Bay Health Kent campus with a gunshot wound to his right forearm. A 12-year-old male and a 17-year-old male were both shot and hospitalized Tuesday evening. Another person, a 27-year-old female, was shot in the leg in downtown Dover on Saturday, May 7th. With this latest shooting, it marks 4 people who have been shot in the city of Dover in less than a week. Anyone with any information on any of these shooting incidents are urged to contact police. Well, Delaware State Police are investigating after more than 100 bronze flower vases were stolen from plots at the Henlopen Memorial Cemetery in Milton. According to state police, on the morning of May 2nd, troopers responded to Henlopen Memorial Park Cemetery in Milton for reports of a theft. Police arrived and learned that over 100, yes, more than 100 bronze flower vases had been stolen from cemetery plots since last year. Troopers are asking that anyone who had a vase purchased and placed for a deceased relative or a friend inside the Henlopen Memorial Park Cemetery to immediately contact Delaware State Police. Well, we got a chance to sit down just this morning with Matt Bucher, who was elected to the Milford School Board this week in a landslide. He tells us how he attributes his win to his principles that resonated with parents over the course of his campaign.
I was running against a perspective and running for a perspective. So there was a dichotomy, not in ideology. That's not what I mean, but in educational perspectives. On one side, you have whatever the educational establishment in Dover, whatever the newest educational innovation, whatever the government says, whatever the union says, whatever the governor says, the executive branch, that's just fine, and we should do it because they're all smarter than us. That's one perspective. The other perspective is if you're going to sit on a school board, which is really the board of directors for a multi-million-dollar corporation, the school system itself, with an immense budget, and it has an immense effect on the property taxes, and it has an immense effect on the outcomes and the quality of our community, you need to have somebody or a board makeup that is local folks that will sit on their own side of the table representing the students, the parents, and the taxpayers.
So fresh on the heels of your huge win, Matt, what words do you have for all the people that turned out to vote for you?
Well, thank you. That's number one. I feel that they weren't necessarily turning out for me. I'm just a fella. I'm a working man, local volunteer in the school district, have volunteered in the school district for 15 years. But then again, so have hundreds of other parents and grandparents, and they deserve all the credit in the world. To the community, I say, I will not break faith with you. You elected me for a particular perspective. If you looked at my website, my social media, my literature, everything that I had to offer you, it was sometimes low budget, but it was painfully simple and direct what I stood for. And if you got on board for that, then you can guarantee that that's what I'm going to do during my 4 years on the Milford School Board. And I thank you for your faith in me. It will not be misplaced.
Coming up, be sure to keep an eye on the sky this weekend. We'll tell you why straight ahead. Don't go away. Well, we could see a lunar eclipse this weekend right here in Delaware as we get more details from our own Hunter Alton.
Be sure to keep a watchful eye to the sky this coming weekend for another beautiful celestial event. On the night of May 15th into the 16th, Delmarva has a front row seat to enjoy the full cycle of a total lunar eclipse. Now, a lunar eclipse occurs when the moon passes through the Earth's shadow, just as a solar eclipse occurs when part of the Earth passes through the moon's shadow. With the tilt of the Earth, this is the reason why we do not have lunar eclipses monthly, but on average we have about 2 to 3 per year across the globe. The eclipse will begin here on Delmarva around 10 p.m. when we start passing into the shadow, with the partial eclipse beginning around 10:30 p.m. on the 15th as we start seeing the black shadow move across. The real fun begins around 11:30 p.m. on the 15th when we start to get into that distinct turquoise color on the limb and a dark blood red shadow takes over. For a good hour and a half, we will see the trademark blood red moon until about 12:54 a.m. on the 16th when the eclipse begins to fade back into that dark shadow, and the eclipse will finally end roughly around 2:30 in the morning on Monday. The clarity of the atmosphere also affects the moon's brightness and color during totality. Eclipse moons can range from a yellow-orange to a rusty red or even a brownish gray. Dark eclipses are often tied to the dust and other particulates released from volcanic activity. The powerful Tonga submarine volcanic eruption that began last December and climaxed in January released a massive amount of aerosols into the upper atmosphere, which still linger 4 months later, which could bring an even better show for us this time around. Now, weather for that night is going to be hit or miss, dealing with the lasting effects from our week-long coastal storm with clouds, but let's be hopeful for an opening that night, which is a very big possibility. Always remember, happy viewing and clear skies, my friends, for this celestial event for this weekend.
Well, it's looking like we're in store for passing showers and mild conditions tonight as we get a preview of your pinpoint weather forecast with Hunter Alton.
More clouds and rounds of showers will be continuing not only for tonight, but for much of the weekend as our coastal low is on the move back towards the coast. The only difference is we won't be having the pounding surf or the very gusty winds along with it. The good news is warmer weather is on the way towards this weekend and for the next week or two as a ridge dominates our weather pattern down the road. So, are we expecting any more heavy rainfall out of this system? I'll let you know when we come back here on TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News. Alrighty, Delmarva, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast because unfortunately we're still going to be dealing with some very dreary conditions thanks to this storm system. And even during the overnight hours tonight, we're going to be looking at plenty of cloud cover and watching out for areas of passing showers moving in from the Atlantic coast. But the good news is temperatures will be holding fairly steady tonight, only dropping a couple degrees, but still fairly mild. 54 to 58 degrees in. Yes, I know, northeast winds at about 10 miles per hour with more breezy conditions, but the good news is after tomorrow we are going to be done with that onshore breeze, thankfully, because I don't know how much more our coastlines can take it. I went out there personally yesterday, and let me tell you, seeing those 10 to 12 foot drop-offs right at the dune line it's something else. I haven't seen that since about 2009 with that Veterans Day nor'easter for a similar long duration event like this. But take a look at Futurecast, rest of the overnight hours into the day on Friday. This is 8 o'clock this evening. We're looking at plenty of cloud cover here on Delmarva. Still got some areas of some isolated showers. Temperatures holding steady into the 50s and maybe even some clearing over towards areas of Bel Air, Wilmington, and Newark with a little bit warmer temperatures in the 60s. But going into the heart of the overnight hours, we're still going to be looking at some random showers pulled in from the Atlantic coast. Temperatures holding steady into the 50s. Definitely the greatest chance for precipitation is going to be in the central portions of Delmarva, where that wind is directly onshore. But going into tomorrow morning, we're going to be looking at a widespread areas of scattered showers rotating in because our storm system is actually moving back towards the coast starting tonight, and it'll be eventually out of here by early next week. Going into the afternoon hours on Friday, though, we're actually going to be looking at a warmer day in store. Temperatures are going to be into the 60s and maybe even some 70s popping up in areas that might see a little bit of sunshine peeking here and there, but still dealing with areas of isolated showers. And then by the evening hours, we have some breaks in the clouds, it looks like, based on the latest Futurecast. Temperatures nice and mild into the 60s when we still got areas of some pop-up showers here and there. And then by the evening hours, we got cloud cover once again, and an even milder night in store too. Still only in the 60s just after midnight, with areas of showers rotating in from the south and east. Take a look at the Friday forecast overall. We got cloudy skies, more on the way of those passing showers. Warmer day ahead too, 64 to 68 degrees on average, with winds still from the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. Take a look at the allergy index for Friday. Yes, even though we do have some scattered showers here and there in the forecast, but still going to be looking at some fairly high levels of pollen, 8.3 out of 12 on a scale, and we're still dealing with the main pollen factor of tree pollen because we're still during the peak season of that. But you'll notice this gauge begin to go down ever so slightly over the next couple of weeks as we get out of this typical tree pollen season. Now, I'm going to switch gears to take a look at the marine conditions because it actually is a lot better than it has been over the last couple of days for your Friday. Starting with the Atlantic, we got showers, 63 degrees, winds from the northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, with our seas now only about 2 to 4 feet. Beats having at 6 to 10 or even 8 to 15 like we've seen over the last couple of days. Take a look at the Delaware Bay. We got showers, 62 degrees, winds from the northeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour with seas of around 1 foot. And then the Chesapeake Bay, showers, 66 degrees, winds from the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with seas right around 1 foot on the Chesapeake. Now, going into the overnight hours tomorrow night, still the same thing. Cloudy skies, passing showers, and temperatures will be holding steady once again, and a little bit warmer than it's going to be tonight, 58 to 62 degrees. But the best news is those winds finally start calming down. Still from the east, but only at about 5 miles per hour. I want to take you a look at the 500 millibar heights. This is where the jet stream is. This right here, this is the problem that we've been having over this last week. This cutoff low has just been sitting here, but the good news is going into this weekend, it finally starts to weaken and it gets absorbed into the jet stream, and then we're finally done with it. And when that happens too, we're going to be looking at some warmer winds, getting temperatures back into the 70s and even the lower 80s for the start of the work week. And I wouldn't even take you even further past the 15th towards the 23rd, because there's some nice signs of persistent warming over the next week or two, because we got a trough in the western U.S. and that's going to send a ridge over towards our neck of the woods. So it's going to be allowing a lot of warmer air to filter in to eastern half of the nation. So we're going to be seeing consistent 70s and even 80s finally after been dealing with a somewhat winter-like pattern here on the shore. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook. Well, we got rain chances tomorrow. We got them Saturday. We have some slight chances on Sunday, and scattered thunderstorms by Monday. But the good news is temperatures back in the 70s and even 80s for Sunday and Monday. Still unsure about the lunar eclipse forecast because we might be dealing with some clouds here and there. We're being hopeful that we can get some breaks in the clouds during that night so we can view this nice celestial event. And then the warmer conditions continue even into next week, and finally some somewhat drier conditions too by Tuesday and Wednesday.
The U.S. has surpassed 1 million COVID deaths. Flags are being flown at half-staff to remember those who died. We'll have more details for you coming up. Keep it here. President Biden has ordered all flags to fly at half-staff to remember the victims of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the U.S. has surpassed 1 million deaths as a result of the virus. The statement was published just hours before the president was set to convene his second COVID-19 summit aimed at placing a greater emphasis on global efforts to combat COVID-19. All U.S. flags at federal buildings will be flown at half-staff until next Monday to mark the 1 million deaths. COVID-19 has become the third leading cause of death in the United States, behind only heart disease and cancer.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson we will be talking about weather balloons. Twice a day, every day of the year, weather balloons are released simultaneously from almost 900 locations worldwide. This includes 92 released by the National Weather Service in the U.S. and its territories. The balloon flights last for around 2 hours and could drift as much as 125 miles away and rise to up over 100,000 feet, which is about 20 miles, into the atmosphere. Weather balloons, which are made of a latex or synthetic rubber known as neoprene, are filled with either hydrogen or helium gases. An instrument called a radiosonde is attached to the weather balloon to measure pressure, temperature, relative humidity as it ascends up into the atmosphere. These instruments will often endure very extreme weather conditions with temperatures as cold as 139 degrees below zero, relative humidities from 0 to 100%, and air pressures only a few thousandths of what is found on the Earth's surface, not to mention ice, rain, thunderstorms, and wind speeds of almost 200 miles per hour. A transmitter on the radiosonde sends data back to tracking equipment on the ground roughly about every 1 to 2 seconds. By tracking the position of the radiosonde, we can also calculate wind speed and direction as well. A parachute is attached to the end of the balloon, which allows the radiosonde to fall slowly to the ground at speeds of less than 22 miles per hour after the balloon bursts. Each radiosonde contains a mailing bag and instructions on what to do if you happen to find one. I haven't found one myself yet, but about 20% of the 75,000 radiosondes that are sent up each year in the U.S. are found and returned, unfortunately. Weather balloons are the primary source of data above the ground. They provide valuable input for computer forecast models, local data for meteorologists to make forecasts and predict storms, and data for research. Computer forecast models which use weather balloon data are used by all forecasters worldwide, from the National Weather Service meteorologists to your local TV weatherman like myself.
Well, that about does it for us today, Delmarva. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and on our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and weather updates. And while you're there, be sure to sign our petition calling on the major cable providers to carry TV Delmarva on their platforms so we can provide this kind of hard-hitting local programming to all of Delmarva. Until next time, I'm Rob Petrie reporting for TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News.